Bob,
What's that?
do you hear that?
Heard what? The sound of Bengals fans crying over the playoff loss?
Well, which one?
All of them, I guess.
I mean, yeah, but no, that's not what I'm referring to.
What? The sound of Browns fans proclaiming they're going to win the Super Bowl because they acquired Odell Beckham Jr.
Well, yes, but no, that's not what I'm referring to, man.
What are you referring to then?
I'm referring to the fact that the Steelers finally have a fucking game on Friday night.
Oh yeah, of course. How the hell could I forget? Steelers football is finally back Friday night.
After 8 long, suffering months of no Steelers football, it finally fucking returns, man.
About freaking time, guys.
And you're going to have to excuse my profanity here, but I am hype as hell for finally Steelers football, man. This shit is finally back. You know, granted, yes, it's just preseason. Shit's probably boring as hell.
I don't care. It's football.
It's fucking football, and there's a lot of things to watch out for in Steelers training camp or preseason in general, man. So we're gonna go over all that, man. Steelers preview or preseason preview and everything for the next 4 weeks. Friday night, opening preseason game of the 2019 season, man. It's exciting, man. It's going to be very interesting for a number of reasons, man. So let's get into it. Obviously, we're going to start with the position battles. One of the main ones to watch out for is obviously the right tackle position. After trading Marcus Gilbert to the Arizona Cardinals during the offseason and everything, you know, the right tackle position is pretty much open for guys like Matt Fielder and Chuck Scorfor, who are going to be the two favorites to possibly win that starting job. And honestly, either way, I can't really complain whoever wins because they're both very nice, polished, young, very determined, very trustworthy right tackles.
Right, exactly.
And they're both very cheap as well, man. So, and I love it, man. You got to keep the offensive line young and healthy. And the great thing about both of them is that they're very versatile. So, no matter whoever doesn't get the starting job, they can still find roles at guard or left tackle or center or right guard or whatever, man. So, it's going to be very interesting. If I have to pick who I think's going to win, I think it'll be Matt Fielder just because he has a little bit more experience and he has been more developed over the years than Chuck Scorfor, who's coming into a second year.
Well, of course, especially what happened last year when Gilbert was basically out for most of the season. Fielder had to step in, and I think he did pretty well.
He did damn well, man. And so did Scorfor, but I think Fielder just did a little better. And I think, like we said, with his experience, he just might have the edge. But it's gonna be interesting to see what happens, man. But again, like we said, man, no matter whoever loses the battle, I'm sure they'll still find roles in the offense as rotational backup or whatever, man. If Foster unfortunately goes down injury, we can see Fielder being moved to left guard and then put a core for a right tackle or whatever, man. We can see Finney seeing B.J. Finney at left guard, but Fielder is guard and tackle mix, so he could definitely play both positions, and we can still see a core for on the offensive line or whoever on the offensive line throughout the season, man. It's going to be very interesting to see that. Obviously, wide receiver, the number 2 spot. You know, trading AB and everything, Juju will obviously be the number 1, and he has a lot to prove there, which we'll talk about later. But the number 2 wide receiver position is obviously a clear-cut battle between James Washington and free agent signee Dante Moncrief, who, you know, again, same thing with the right tackle position. I really wouldn't complain whoever wins that battle. They're both, I think, very determined or could be very determined number 2s. Dante Moncrief didn't really have a healthy or trustworthy quarterback the majority of his career. Now he pretty much does with you know, Ben does have injury issues from time to time, but he does have a very young and trustworthy and very, well, I don't want to say young, but he has a very experienced, strong, arguably the best offensive line in the league behind him or in front of him and everything. So he doesn't really have to worry about getting hurt or anything. Neither does Moncrief with his quarterback situation. And James Washington, who had a very bumpy rookie year last year, but he showed a lot of great flashes late in the season, man, and some pretty difficult and busy and important games, you know, like the Patriots and the Bengals last year. So,
seriously, especially with the offseason, he slimmed down, he got stronger, he got faster, and I feel like his catching ability got a whole lot better, especially with how he's doing in training camp from what we've been hearing so far.
Absolutely. So it's going to be interesting to see that, man, and it should be because I would not sleep on Deontay Johnson, who is obviously our 3rd-round rookie receiver that we drafted. I would not sleep on him possibly winning it. Now, I doubt that because Moncrief and Washington are obviously more experienced and everything, and let's not forget Juju didn't even get the starting role immediately. So
no, of course. I mean, when it comes to a rookie wide receiver, you don't really want to rush him to a starting role immediately. You
Right.
need to have them marinate and everything.
Right, and that would be the same for Johnson. But I would not sleep on him to possibly make a mark or make his mark for the number 2 spot, possibly down the road, eventually later this upcoming season. So we'll
I
see.
mean, from what we've been hearing, and apparently his route running is absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Some people are saying it's identical to Antonio.
Oh, yeah,
Brown's.
dude. This guy, Deontay Johnson, is honestly Antonio Brown 2.0 without the bitchiness and ungrateful attitude and ego.
Right. Deontay Johnson has a route running, speed, catching ability. He has everything you would want in a great wide receiver. He reminds me of Santonio Holmes, Emmanuel Sanders, and Antonio Brown all mixed together.
Absolutely. And don't forget, he has the ability to get his feet wet in special teams as a return specialist. So it's going to be interesting to see what we do with him there. Another position battle is obviously backup quarterback between Josh Dobbs and Mason Rudolph. It's pretty ironic, honestly, because last year, obviously, we had another position battle for the backup quarterback, which was Landry Jones and Josh Dobbs. And if you guys saw our videos last year, you know that we were praising Josh Dobbs for doing a good job. You know, we thought that he was the better quarterback than Landry Jones. But now he is picking it up in camp, you know, as camp goes, which is good, which is great. Great for Dobbs. Early in camp, he wasn't really doing much.
He was performing very poorly. He was throwing pick, underthrown, inaccurate passes,
Right,
and everything,
but-
which really hurts to see because we're both fans of Dobbs. He's got talent, he's got potential, but he needs to be more consistent.
Right. Now, he is nowhere near starting material. Not even close. Never probably will be. He could be a very nice, solid number 2, solid number 3 guy. But, you know, coming into his 3rd year, I thought he would be a little bit more marinated, a little bit more juiced up a little bit. And I don't mean, you know, that, but but you get what I mean, man.
Right, more experience, more ready.
Right. But now this is what preseason is for, to see how he is, you know, how much farther he has grown into as a player. And same thing could be said with Mason Rudolph, man, who's coming to a 2nd year. You know how high we are on Mason Rudolph, man. We proclaim him to be the future.
And we still do.
Yeah, which is looking a little less likely by the day with how, you know, Ben is proclaiming, you know, I'm going to play my contract out. Or
Yeah, because he signed a new 3-year contract.
2-3-year extension. Yeah, he is signed up until 2021, which I'm not going to lie, I was not a fan of immediately because of Rudolph. I feel like that with Ben playing all the way up to 2021, because 2021 is not only the year Ben's contract is up, it's also the year Rudolph's rookie contract is up.
Yeah, if it is true that Ben does indeed to play out his entire contract to that point, and Rudolph does sit behind him as a backup, when the time comes for contract talks with Rudolph, is he going to be willing to stay with the Steelers?
Yeah, knowing that he is, or that he was a backup. Now, if Ben retires that year, Rudolph might have a little bit more influence to resign with the Steelers because he has a little bit more likelihood, a little bit more, you know, pull to be the starter, to be the new starter. So I don't know what will happen there, but Rudolph is showing a lot of nice swagger and attitude to the point that he almost feels like he could battle Ben for the starting role. Now, he's never going to beat out Ben for the starting role, but I can appreciate and love that swagger and attitude he's bringing, man. That's the shit we need. And that's the shit I think that could lead Rudolph to winning the number 2 backup quarterback spot.
Seriously.
And beating Dobbs, which I would honestly love, man. And I'm not shitting on Dobbs or anything. It's going to be interesting to see how much further he has progress as a player, and same thing will go for Rudolph and everything. Rudolph had a pretty decent camp in preseason last year, so it's going to be interesting to see how much better he has gotten. We've heard a lot of positive things in camp, how his timing's better, his accuracy's better, he's a little bit more patient and a little bit more, you know, comfortable in the pocket and everything. So it's going to be very interesting to see this backup quarterback battle, man. And I feel like it's a position battle Steelers Nation needs to take a little bit more seriously, because we all know what happens when Ben goes down. We're fucked.
Yeah.
We're fucked. And if we have someone like Dobbs as the number 2, you know, we are high on Dobbs to be a backup, but last year he didn't really show shit against the fucking Raiders.
Yeah, the Raiders of all freaking teams.
Yeah, now he had a nice little cool play against Baltimore, but that's one play. Against the Raiders, who didn't have shit last year, it's a little...
I can't name one defensive player. Great defensive player they got.
Yeah, I mean, well, last year they didn't really have no line. This year, of course, they have a few guys, but nonetheless, man, it's gonna be interesting to see the backup quarterback spot and everything. So now it's just gonna be a very tough and a battle that Steelers Nation really needs to take a little bit more seriously and pay very close attention to. That's one thing we're really gonna look at. Also, don't sleep on what's his name?
Delvin Hodges.
Yeah, Delvin or Devlin? I think it's Devlin.
Devlin.
Yeah.
Did I say Delvin?
Yeah.
Devlin.
Correct us if we're wrong. I think it's Devlin Hodges, who was a undrafted free agent quarterback out of Sanford. So he could make a run for Dobbs as the number 3 because depending on how Rudolph does, he could make a run for number 2. He could be the already confirmed number 2. And depending on how inferior Dobbs plays to Rudolph, Hodges could make a run for the number 3 spot, or we could trade Rudolph. Well, I'm sorry, not Rudolph. I'm sorry, Dobbs.
Yeah, if we trade Rudolph, I think it'd be a little frustrating.
That would be a little bit more.
But Dobbs, it's very more understandable, especially since a team could use a guy like Dobbs.
Yeah.
And everything. But Delvin Hodges, I've been hearing very positive things from him. Considering he's a rookie and all, I've heard that he's got very good accuracy, timing, and patience behind the offensive line.
Yeah. So
I've been hearing very good things about Hodges, and I do believe that he broke Steve McNair's passing record in college.
Yeah.
And his, I think, division, I believe it was. I can't remember what division, though.
So that's a nice little highlight on his resume there. So it's something that could, he might, if he doesn't make the roster, he could be a nice practice squad development guy for the number 3 spot next year, maybe. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But the backup quarterback spot is definitely one of the position battles to definitely look out for a ton and pay very close attention to. It's very important.
It is
very important. And of course, safety. Safety is arguably one of the thinnest positions that we have on the roster, probably the thinnest position we have defensively. Sean Davis is currently out with a left finger injury. I think it's a left finger. It's a finger injury nonetheless.
Yeah, I think it's a dislocation from what I'm hearing. Nonetheless, as of right now, the stars are proclaimed to be Terrell Edmunds and Sean Davis. But like you said, Davis has an injury. As of right now, our safety position depth is very thin.
Yeah, and
it's not looking good.
Yeah, and that's the thing that we're definitely looking at mostly at safety is the depth. Jordan Dangerfield sure is a quality depth guy. He'll be a nice special teamer. Of course, Marcus Allen, who we're high on, could be a very nice special teamer himself. P.J. Locke is a big sleeper, could make his mark at special teams as well. Cameron Kelly, who we'll talk about later, is getting a ton of first-team reps. Granted, it was because of Sean Davis' injury, but he is looking pretty decent in camp, so we'll see how farther he can climb up in the depth chart at safety, as well as Drayvon Askew-Henry, I believe.
Yeah, I believe
so. Wrong. So, well, there's a ton of potential and young talent at the safety position that could really make their mark on the depth chart and try to make the 53. So that's one thing we're mostly looking at safety is the depth. But, who knows? Maybe we find a nice sleeper. Maybe we find a nice guy that could really come up and potentially, be another undrafted star.
Right.
That might be all wishful thinking and everything, but it's possible, man. Cameron Kelly has a lot of potential. So does P.J. Locke. So it's gonna be interesting to see that, man. But obviously, next thing to look at is the rookies. Obviously, Devin Bush, Benny Snell, Deontay Johnson, Justin Lane. I'm really looking forward to see Isaiah Buggs. We all know how great our defensive line is. Arguably one of the best in the league, one of the more underrated in the league, I would say. Cameron Hayward's definitely underrated. Javon Hargrave deserves a fucking contract extension after this year. If you compare that 2016 draft class with Sean Davis and Artie Burns and Javon Hargrave, who sticks out the most?
Javon Hargrave.
Hargrave, easily, man. He is just one of the more underrated nose tackles in the league, and he absolutely deserves a fucking contract. Apparently, the Steelers are really, we're getting close to apparently what I'm hearing is a 3-year extension with Joe Hayden. So after Joe Hayden gets that deal done, hopefully very shortly, we can get Hargrave done. We can keep that defensive line intact because we got Hayward into it for the next few years. So if we get Hargrave intact, that'll be very nice as well, man.
Yeah, seriously. And Hargrave's, in my opinion, is one of the up and rising nose tackles in the NFL.
Absolutely.
Especially after last year, in which I feel like he broke out.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things, though, is that although we love Tuitt, he can't stay healthy.
He's very injury prone.
Yes. So one guy to look out for is Isaiah Buggs, who many people are proclaiming to be a fucking. I don't even know how he lasted to the 6th round. I thought he was gonna be an early day 3, late day 2 guy coming out of Alabama. I thought this dude was very talented, could be a very nice guy, a very nice sleeper, man. And for him to last in the 6th round, I think was a steal. So it's going to be very fun to see how he proclaims as a defensive end on the depth chart and everything as a backup, and maybe he can be a nice rotational backup and everything as well. Opposite of Tyson Alualu on the depth chart.
Right, of course.
So it's going to be interesting to see how he proclaims as a run stopper or as a pass rusher and everything. So Bugs is definitely one guy to look out for on the defensive line. Justin Lane can get his feet wet in what could be hopefully successful development at cornerback. Deontay Johnson, we already proclaimed how his route running and his receiving ability, his release is crazy. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does in the slot or in the outside. Benny Snell, I'm sure we'll get a ton of fucking reps.
And he has been in training camp. In
Yeah.
preseason, I am really looking forward to seeing how Benny Snell runs.
Seriously, man. This dude is just one of the more exciting guys we have on the roster. One of the more charismatic guys we have on offense, man. So it's going to be very fun to see how he pumps up this offense and everything and training camp and preseason as well. So, obviously, another guy to look out for is Ulysses Gilbert. He has insane speed. He could see time inside linebacker, see what he does on special teams, which I think he'll make his mark there if he makes the roster. It depends if he can beat out Tyler Matakevich, or maybe we keep Tyler Matakevich and keep Gilbert as well for special teams to bump up and juice up that special teams, which is, the Steelers special teams has been lacking the last few years. So maybe we want to bump up special teams a little bit with the linebackers.
Yeah, seriously.
Same thing could be said with Sutton Smith. So it's going to be interesting to see the rookies to see how they proclaim. But one of the main guys I am looking forward to seeing is definitely Devin Bush, Benny Snell, and Isaiah Bugs. See how they work out on both sides of the ball.
Absolutely.
So, obviously, sleepers as well. Ola Danny, you guys know that we have just been praising him left and right, up and down. You just praising the fuck out of him the last year, man. This guy was one of the more playmakers and stars of last year's training camp and preseason. Unfortunately, he was on IR most of his rookie year. But this year, man, he's looking just to continue his momentum from last year, man. This guy is having a very impressive, very solid camp, man. This dude's a baller.
He is.
Like, seriously, man.
He's a beast.
I would totally look out for number 92 out there, man. And obviously, I think I speak for most of Steelers Nation when I say he has a lot of Steelers Nation behind him, rallying behind him and everything, especially with Bud Dupree underwhelmingly performing and everything. So we'll see if he can potentially make a run for Dupree. Maybe he shows some spark as a rotational backup or as a special teamer to the point maybe next year, depending on how Dupree performs. Maybe he's a runner-up for one of the starting guys at outside linebacker opposite T.J. Watt. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how he proclaims. Now, it will be against backups and everything, mostly, but it'll see how much he has thrived from last year.
Yeah, seriously. How much he's grown, how much he's developed, and how much he can really make an impact on this team.
Absolutely, man. And he could make a run for the number 3 outside linebacker job, It'll be tough to beat Anthony Chickalo there, but it's possible, man. Ola Denny's a massive sleeper. Definitely keep a lookout for number 92 out there, man. Another one is obviously Cameron Kelly, who we just mentioned about the safeties and everything. One of the biggest sleepers of camp, one of the guys that is getting a surprisingly good amount of reps at free safety and at first team, like we said, granted because that was Sean Davis, but he's actually getting first team reps over veteran Jordan Dangerfield.
And Dangerfield's been with us for 4 years now?
Yeah, and has started a few games himself. So it's pretty interesting to see him get first team reps over Dangerfield. I would probably proclaim him to be a lock for the 53-man roster, but it's going to be interesting to see how many reps he gets at free safety, see what impact he makes at free safety and everything. So
yeah, I mean, Cameron Kelly, he's a sleeper in himself, really.
Yeah, man, he's got he has great height. I think he's 6'2",
I believe
some
so.
shit like that. So that's very desirable height for a free safety.
He's got height. He's versatile.
Very young.
He's got great ball skills. He was a hell of a standout in the AAF before it shut down.
Exactly. So this guy is a massive sleeper and could be one of the more stars of this upcoming preseason, man. So looking forward to him as well. Another guy I'm looking forward to is Deontay Spencer, who is, of course, a wide receiver. We signed him from the CFL this past January, and I don't really see him getting many reps at receiver. Now, if he does, I could see him making his mark as a deep threat because he is one of the more fast guys that we have on the team. Probably the fastest guy we have on the team, man. He ran like a 4.32 or some shit.
Yeah, he's got trailblazing speed.
Yeah, man.
He is fast.
This boy, he can run. He can like that dude from The Longest Yard, man. He's so fast, he makes fast people look not fast, man. Like,
yeah, for real. Like Deontay Spencer's got speed. He doesn't really have a lot of height, but when it comes to return specialist wise,
yes.
I think being a return specialist when it comes to this team fits him well.
Yeah, and I think that's where he'll thrive and get most reps there. And if he shows some spine, now he's really making a run for the 53-man roster, and that's going to be tough because obviously our depth chart right now is looking Juju Smith-Schuster, James Washington, Dante Moncrief, Deontay Johnson, Ryan Switzer, Eli Rogers. Could we add a seventh receiver in Deontay Spencer? I don't know. He's making a case. He's really having an impressive camp as a deep threat, as a slot guy. And if he makes his mark at special teams, it's going to be pretty tough to fucking, not keep him.
I know. The guy's versatile. The guy is very impressive.
Yeah.
Speed, nice catching ability, and he's a fantastic return specialist, in which we have completely lacked in basically a fucking decade.
Exactly. So,
and that's where he thrived in the CFL, a return specialist.
Exactly, man. He got two... I believe it was all first team All Pro or some shit, man. He got high praise as a return specialist in the CFL. So it's gonna be interesting to see where he does in the NFL as a return specialist there. So
yeah, seriously.
I don't know. Now he can make the practice squad if he's just unlucky to make the 53, but he is getting up there. He's climbing up the age ladder a little bit. So if there's a time for him to strike, it's now. So it's gonna be interesting to see what he does, man. I believe he's wearing number 82. Correct me if I'm wrong, so definitely look out for 82 there, man. So, yeah. So, now another thing to look out for is obviously offense and defense in terms of first team, and see how everything is flowing, especially the offense without AB. We all know what has been said about the Steelers' offense. Since AB was traded. Oh, Ben's gonna fucking lack.
Oh, Juju can't make it as a number one. Oh, they don't have a determined number two.
Oh, this offense is not going to strike as much. All this bullshit. And like we said, man, the one thing that just boggles my fucking mind, that confuses the heck out of me, is people are saying that Ben is going to decline. What?
But yet, look back, and this is literally the biggest game that comes to mind to me and him.
And the thing is, he's getting better with age.
Exactly.
Keep that in mind.
Exactly. But I want to go back to, I believe it was 2015 or 2016. I believe it's 2015.
Yeah, it was the 2015 year, going into the 2016 playoffs.
It was the divisional round against the Denver Broncos, who had the number one defense.
And we're being proclaimed as the best defense of all time for some reason.
Big Ben had an injured shoulder after going against the fucking Bengals. And Turner Brown got injured. Martavis Bryant had to step up as a number one, in which he's not really a determined number one. But at the time, he was developing and being very impressive.
He had the potential.
So we had Martavis Bryant as number one. We had Marcus fucking Wheaton as number two. We had a rookie in Sammy Coates as the number three. Ben Roethlisberger still threw for over 300 yards with an injured shoulder. With guys like Martavis Bryant, Marcus Wheaton, and Sammy Coates.
Who are all not even in the league anymore.
Exactly.
Hell, Marcus Wheaton, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Marcus Wheaton had the most receiving yards by a receiver against the Legion of Boom. In that crazy era that Seattle had the Legion of Boom, that secondary, Marcus Wheaton had the most receiving yards against them. Against that Legion of Boom. Which was, over 200 fucking yards? Who was his quarterback? First of all, it's Marcus fucking Wheaton.
Yeah, where's he now?
Against arguably the best defense that this league has ever seen in the last decade.
Where's he now?
Marcus fucking Wheaton.
Where's he now? He retired. He went to the Bears, didn't do shit. Now he's retired. Who do you have as his quarterback during that Seahawks game? Ben Roethlisberger.
Which that game was fucking crazy.
Yeah, it was. Although we lost, it was a hell of a fucking game.
That was an insane fucking game, man. I remember cursing Antoine Blake for that fucking touchdown he gave up to Doug Baldwin, and Mike Mitchell missing that fucking tackle. Jesus Christ, that secondary was trash. And going into our next fucking point, man, it's going to be interesting to see how this defense works. We all know how great the pass rush is. We all know. Now, I would love to see a little bit more consistency from them, but we all know how great the pass rush is. It'll be interesting to see how the inside linebacker core works a little bit more, because we've been mixing it up with Vince Williams and John Bostic, Vince Williams and Mark Barron and Devin Bush all splitting reps as the starting inside linebackers. So it's gonna be interesting to see how we split reps with them, how who starts off originally and how often we swap them back and forth. It'll be interesting to see how the secondary works with Steven Nelson and Mike Hilton and everything, and the healthy Joe Hayden. So, and of course, Terrell Evans coming to second year. So it's going to be interesting to see how great the defense, or mostly the secondary works, and how much they've grown, how much they've developed, and how, compared to the past and previous years that we've seen with the Steelers secondary, it's going to be interesting to see how this year's secondary hopefully outperforms those past secondaries, which we definitely know they can, especially with the talent and the chemistry that this team is really showing. So it's going to be interesting to see how the secondary works out and how dominant they can perform. And hopefully we can possess more turnovers.
Yeah,
and better coverage building.
Because last year we had one of the worst turnover ratios on the defense side of the ball last year. It was bad. It was really
poor.
bad.
It was very poor.
So coming to this year, defense is going to have to step up, especially the secondary.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to see how the secondary does. Although some of the stars are going to be sitting and everything, may have a little bit of playing time, but nonetheless, this is what preseason is for.
Yes.
For them to marinate, get ready, and show what they can do for regular season. I'm fucking excited.
Exactly, man. Just shake the dust off and get ready, and get the groove going and see. And it's also big for the coaches and the playmaking ability, man, especially for the offensive coordinator and Randy Fichtner. It will be interesting to see how balanced this offense will be, to see if we do possess or bring in a running back by committee for the offense this year. It'll be interesting to see if we can balance offense a little bit. It'll be interesting to see how much more or how much less Ben is going to throw this year. It'll be interesting to see if Keith Butler will still put fucking linebackers on receivers. So it'll be interesting to see how much we've grown as a coaching staff. So this preseason is going to be one of the more exciting, one of the more scouted and sought out preseasons for the Steelers. So it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very fun. Football is finally back, man. Friday night. Who did we face?
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, the Buccaneers. And the only reason why I didn't know is because it's preseason. I don't really care who the fuck we face. I just want to know. I just want to see this fucking Steelers football at this point.
Yes, seriously. I'm fucking excited.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Friday night, hurry the fuck up.
Seriously, man. You guys can definitely expect a reaction vids about preseason and everything throughout the entire preseason and everything, as well as articles and more, what's the term? More. I'm trying to think of the term. More.
I know what you mean. I just can't think of it either.
Yeah, more detailed. Thank you. More detailed. Responses and thoughts and everything on SteelTwins.com throughout the entire preseason, as well as the entire regular season and everything. So definitely look out for that. Definitely go check that out and everything. We're going to have a few articles up this upcoming few days going into the first preseason game against the Buccaneers this Friday night. Going to be hype. Going to be interesting. Let us know what you guys think down below. If there's any more sleepers or anything more interesting to look out for in Steelers training camp and Steelers preseason, definitely leave them down below, man. And hope you guys enjoy the game. We'll see you guys in the next one, man.
Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you later.
Peace!